I'm so happy to finally be here after sitting via a computer talking with you about it for several times. And now we're at Doris Pub on LaBadi Beach, looking out at all the beautiful people in the beautiful water. And you know they say Ghana has the most beautiful beaches.
Hey, listen, every one of my days starts here at the beach, walking and thinking about life and enjoying my experiences here and contemplating my next steps and my future. So I'm excited to be here with you. We've talked about this so many times. And you know what? God brought this to fruition for us and blessed us to be here. And this is the first step, another step in another long journey, because we're going to Cote d'Ivoire, we're going to Senegal, we're going to Egypt, we're going to Thailand, we're going to step out and experience this world and see what the world has to offer to us culturally and how our culture can inspire others and impact those other cultures.
Joe, now that we're home,
Come on.
I want to know what home means.
Come on.
What does it mean to you?
Listen, home is safety, it's security, it's peace, it's family, it's sustenance, it's passion, it's protection, it's no boundaries, it's being able to be who you are. It's a safe space, and it's a safe space for those you love, and you only bring people into your home that you love, right? And that you have faith with, you bond with. So when I think about Africa as home, I hope that it can be all of those things for me as I continue to explore the diaspora and explore the culture, explore the food, explore the friends, all of it. I want all of it, and I want to make every place I visit my home, because you want to know something? We're confident in who we are, and as long as we're confident in who we are, we can be ourselves wherever we go. What does home mean to you, brother?
When I think of home, I think of a place where I don't live a life in fear. I don't look over my shoulders. I don't worry about being judged. I don't really worry about what the brother next to me really got going on, because we all got something going on. But all I know is that here at home, we're all kin. We look at each other the same. We help each other out, and we acknowledge one another. And speaking of that, one thing, just me returning home, immediately I came through the airport, and there was this brother sitting, the security guard. We made eye contact, and he's just staring. And so I just smile and give him a head nod, a typical black head nod like we do in the States.
Yeah.
And he has the biggest smile after I give him a head nod. And it's like, brother, we're home. Hey, it's truly one love. I feel like Bob Marley here, because why should one Ghanaian or one African American be mad at a Ghanaian or vice versa? We're all skin folk. And you know, in the States, we say skin folk get kin folk. I don't really get that energy here. I don't.
You know, when I was a little boy in the early 1970s, my father, everywhere we go, he would say, "What's up, bro? Hey, brother. Hey." His nickname was Groove. As I'm a little boy, Daddy, do you know him? No, I don't know him. I don't know him, but we're black and we're kinfolk. We're skinfolk, we're kinfolk. We're brothers of the same experiences, and we face the same challenges, similar challenges. And we try to go from that. And you know, I love the fact that you mentioned that, because it's interesting. As big as I am when I walk, and I walk past people, sometimes they don't know how to interpret me. And so what do? You disarm them with a smile and words of love, because to your point around one love, at the base of every relationship should be love. You start from a position of, I don't know you, but I still love you as I love your humanity, no matter who you are, where you're from, or what you look like. You know, we talked about security at home and this sense of no fear. You know, one of the truths is, in America, we're constantly surrounded by fear and concern and risk. It's financial risk. Oh, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. It's risk from thug cops. You know, it's risk from people, our own people, who will rob, shoot, and kill you for a few damn dollars, right? You know, and that's one of the other truths being here, is that, you know, I don't hear ambulances here. I don't hear gunshots here. I don't see people knocked upside the head laying on the street. And I'm not saying that that's a common thing in America, but it's reality. Every single day, somebody's getting carjacked and robbed and shot, and all you need to do is turn on the news to see it. But I don't see that here. No, nothing is perfect. But at the end of the day, you know, I share with every person that I get a chance to share with. I always say, "What's up, brother? How you? God bless you. God bless. Go with God, brother. I hope He bless you today." give them a tip and keep walking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it means that much to me. Of the faces you've seen since you've been here, what are the things you because you look like a Nigerian, you look like an African. As my significant other has said, Latrice said, burn a boy. That's what you call him, burn a boy. That's all right though, because you know what? It's always be good to recognize us as someone who's accomplishing great things, and if you can just share some of that love, it makes you go. But what are you seeing in the faces and the people as you talk to them and get better acquainted?
Oh man, when I look in the faces of the Ghanaian people, I see me. I see a hustler, I see an entrepreneur, I see someone who's so confident you might call him conceited. I see me, but then I also see that side that's hidden.
Yeah.
That you don't let anyone else see. I see it, the reserved, the closed off. I see it, and I feel like although we might have been taken and they got to remain in the homeland, there is still some disjointment in both of our experiences.
Yes.
And us as Black Americans, African Americans, obviously it was the being robbed from the homeland. But, and this doesn't really answer your question, but that is what I see in them. But then the question I have as I see in them is, I'm curious, what is it that they're yearning?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, colonization is akin to Jim Crow segregation. The hostility, you look at what happened across the African diaspora, South Africa, the Congo, all of these former French colonies, all of these, they were colonized and the indigenous peoples were oppressed. So we share a history of oppression. And in some ways that economic oppression still continues. If you look at what's happening with the dollar, efforts to curtail trade, efforts to close embassies, efforts by corporations to leverage the resources at usury rates. How can a continent as rich in uranium, diamonds, gold, nickel, all these resources that are central to the development of technology, industry, and products that we all consume, how can they be economically depressed when you have all that wealth, right? And so it's a time for African leaders and for those who produced it, who helped to extract these resources, to understand you have the obligation to help advance the culture and advance the civilization, because I can tell you there's a strong need for investments in infrastructure, every kind of infrastructure you can think of, whether it's the roads, cyber, telco, cable, television, newspapers, writing, books. Is a need for investment in the infrastructure, and those resources have to be a pathway to achieving that.
One thing that I want every Ghanaian, every African, anyone watching this video, anyone I want to tell on the street is, because of something you hear, they want to go to the West, they want our education, they want our salary. I want to tell them, y'all have everything here. After what, the thing is, we as a Black race have been so brainwashed that we don't even know about Kemet and the Egyptians and how large their brains were and how they stayed in school till they were 30 and how much knowledge they knew and how the white man came and stole that. And so what I'm getting at is because sometimes I feel like we are so pro-Black and so pan-African, but the African people themselves aren't even that. And to me, I'm kind of like, how could you not be that? This is your home. But the one thing I would want to say to them is they have everything.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to say it because to them, I'm the privileged one for having the education, and I can understand and acknowledge that.
Well, so much of the perspective on privilege is about wealth, right? We associate privilege with wealth, whereas we should be associating privilege with access to opportunity, right? One thing to your point around education is knowledge. Look, college, you are going to get a better quality of education and in some Ivy League colleges. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that the broad sphere of knowledge, that they have a monopoly on the broad sphere of knowledge, right? Knowledge, just being able to go into the bush and survive and live for a week without being able to go to 7-Eleven and go to Walmart and have a tent, that's knowledge of your environments, understanding your ability to create medicines, to cure illnesses in this and stuff. That's knowledge, and you don't need a graduate degree. You don't have to be a resident of a hospital to be able to. You have to have a holistic knowledge and understanding of your environment and your people's history that has existed in Africa for thousands of years that also benefited slavery because those Africans brought that knowledge with them to America. It still exists. And so to your point, we have to make sure that we understand that everything they need is here if we understand as Americans entering the diaspora how to tap into it. And we have to be able to tap into it, right?
So how do we tap into it and not take advantage of it?
Well, the advantage piece to me comes down to what we talked about a few moments ago with terms of accessing and leveraging resources. The advantage is, do you take those resources and put them back into use to empower the culture here? Are you reinvesting what you gained, benefited from? Or are you trying to take it without offering commensurate value in return? It's the commensurate value that we share back with them, whether it's in the form of how we pay, whether it's in the form of what knowledge we give them. It's a trade-off. We're sharing information. I can sit down to lunch with any person and they can give me some knowledge about a subject matter which I am not fluent in. And at the same time, I know that I'm deep enough and substance enough to be able to give them some similar knowledge about issues that they don't know. You, as an American, it's just being here, an African American who hasn't come here yet, I have knowledge to give to them that they won't understand why there's currency, there's value, there's pride, that comes from just being here in Africa in this moment, right? Most people think, well, are the roads paved, is dirt road, or like, what kind of the bathrooms like, or are there banks, and are you buying a home? What's the is it home? Is it a hut? What the dirt floor? You know how people think. In America, all too often, we maximize the minimum and minimize the maximum. And in this case, it's elevating the minimum to be the maximum. We want to build on something. Brother?
Speaking of building on something, I feel like one thing I have noticed, this is some social commentary I really have to call out.
Come on.
The relationship thing here, or the booed up thing here, or the it's almost like last night as we were sitting, I'm just be real. Last night as we were sitting, I'm watching all of the women. It's nighttime, but your hair is done, you have on makeup, you're wearing the dress, you're on the beach. And if you watch, they're just walking around. But if you look at the seats, it's everyone. It's a couple. And I was asking myself, is there this societal pressure? What is this pressure? Or what is this? What is? And I don't want to say the women are promiscuous because I don't think that's what it is. It's just.
No. Yeah, no, if we're gonna have real talk, let's have some real talk now. Let's have some real talk. A lot of the women are looking for customers. And they may not be a customer in the sense of the oldest profession known to man, right? But they may be looking for a customer in that they want to befriend somebody who can bring them resources and change the trajectory of their life. It's not a quid pro quo, but it's a social arrangement. It's an understanding, right? Beauty beautiful women is an amazing thing, right? But there are relationships, there's a time and place for everything. But when I come here to the beach and I'm in Ghana, I'm not going to lie, man. You're going to be constantly approached. And I'll tell this experience. I met someone here on the beach, and I said, hey, let's get a drink one day. Let's get a drink. We'll have a drink before I leave. I go on back home, and the person have to reach out to me, hey, when are we going for the drink? I said, I'm sorry, I'm back in the States already. Do you know what she said? You still owe me for that drink. I still owe you. So what? A block. I said, that's unfortunate.
Hold on, Joe, now we really got to get in some of these goddamn crazy ass African women. These African women, the attitudes, the demands.
But something we got to be honest about. The way they communicate, they're more verbose. They're more their emotion. They speak with their bodies in a way where I don't think they're intending to be aggressive or angry. But, I was telling you, I was watching the Nigerian soaps. Why did you do that? This is mine. They talk in a very strong voice. They're strong women. I think the thing about it is, in America, they stigmatize black women as what? Being loud, being aggressive, being angry. But we all angry. Black men like, why do black people tend to shout? Ralph Wiley, an old school book. Go back and read it. My brother was brilliant for Sports Illustrated. But you think about how they're communicating. And I think the point that what I'm hearing is, I have no time for nonsense. Don't hit me with that rubbish. If you have something you really got something you want to say, then say it in a way and be direct with it, you know. They ain't got no time for no yellowback man, you know. You can't be no coward. You got to come and be real. But I love the women here. I appreciate them, and I see them in different ways. And everywhere I go, I say one of the things I realize is that they don't get complimented, appreciated, and loved enough. And just to say to somebody, wow, you look fabulous today. I love your hair. I love this. That little commentary, it's amazing to see in their eyes how they look at you, and they're being appreciated in a way that others may not be appreciating them, you know?
Yeah.
So but I'm saying, you know, look, I'm a man. I'm here in Ghana, and I see beautiful women, and you know something, how is it any different here than when you go in the Caribbean, Jamaica, Puerto Rico, Cancun, you know? Colombia. How many passport bros are in Colombia right now with a suitcase full of cheap ass shoes and low budget perfume they're giving out to the women like it's from Lord and Taylor, huh?
Thailand too.
Oh,
we can't forget Thailand.
Lady boys and all, huh? People they become something. You can get on a plane and you have no identity. You can be something you're not, right?
But Joe, hold on, because you're getting at something there, and this is really why I enjoy traveling and encourage other people is I am a whole different person when I'm in other places. You hear my fake Jamaican accent? I'm from Jamaica. I'm on some jerk chicken in there. It's just so beautiful to be able to have that one luxury. But to me, what I think about all the time is how relative things are. It's I'm over here, my family's existing in the States. I'm living a whole different life. Yeah. But guess what? When I go back to the States, I go back to a life I knew, but then a life that I began is on pause.
But we've talked already about code switching, right?
Yeah.
You know, when in Rome, you do what the Romans do. You adapt to the environment in which you're in to be accepted. You try to blend. You blend your perspectives you're bringing to the table with the love. But then we come here to talk about relationships because there's one question I got to ask you, Burner Boy.
What's
They was at the market and they built a bunch of. I said, what does it mean when they? He asked, what does it mean when they're sticking their tongue out? I said, who's sticking their tongue out? I ain't seen nobody stick their tongue out. All the women are sticking their tongue out. They're sticking their tongue out at your boy.